Just to give you an outline now of what I'm going to cover today, I did break this series up. This was going to be the third installation, but I'm actually going to make this the second installation. I did this series, a few parts of it in Colleyville, as I mentioned, and I tried to continue it a little bit in Irving, but I feel like that was chopped up. So I'm going to start back from where I left off in Irving, and that's the title for this first discussion really is Lessons in Parental Psychology from Surah Yusuf. And then inshallah a little bit from Surah Al-Qasas. So those are a few lessons I want to cover. Not all of them, but enough that I think it'll keep us busy. You know, I don't want to give you everything out there because that's not practical for you to write down 300 things to change about yourself as parents. It's not going to happen. You have to just take enough that you can digest and inshallah implement at least some of it and hopefully see results in that, and then come back and listen to it again and implement some more. And that's how practically we move forward as families, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So let's begin with that, inshallah. The first thing I want to talk about is communication. إِذْ قَالَ يُوسُفُ لِأَبِيهِ Yusuf alayhi salam, we all know the story, he talked to his dad. He talked to his father. And the language, it has many isharat in it. إِذْ, actually the word إِذْ is used for a particular time. So when at a particular moment, Yusuf alayhi salam spoke to his father. Now, when a child speaks to you, is actually seems to indicate that it was on the child's schedule. When the father speaks to the child, then it's on the father's schedule. The father decided what time you should speak. The child decides in this case what time you should speak. Now, a father, which we're going to learn actually in the opposite case in Surah Luqman, the father speaks to the son. إِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ Libni. It's the other way around. When the father speaks, as opposed to the child speaks, there's a difference. A father can pick, what's the best time to talk to my child? When is he going to listen to me well? If I know that he's in the middle of something right now, or he's busy, or he's heading off to school, or he's upset right now, maybe it's not the best time to talk to him. Maybe I should be smarter about when I should pick a time. But a child, does a child discriminate? Is this not a good time to bring something up? You have children, you know. Our kids bring things up to us, whether we're on the phone, whether we're at work in a meeting, whether we're cooking something, your daughter will tug at your clothes and say, Mama, where's my toy? Where's my other shoe? Right? They don't say, well, maybe this is not a good time. Mom's holding 2 phones in her hands right now, and, you know, and a baby, and, you know, there's smoke coming out of the stove, but maybe this is not a good time to ask about my pink ribbon. But they don't discriminate. They just say it. And then you say, could you hold on? I'm going a little crazy right now. You know, because we do that. Because we say, why don't you have the sense to know what is a good time to talk to me and when is not a good time to talk to me? The first point I'm trying to make is, parents can discriminate when is a good time and when is not a good time. We're smart. We're adults. Children don't discriminate. Children, whenever a feeling comes in their heart, whenever a thought comes to them, they say it. They don't figure, I don't know, I think this is not a good time. They don't do that. There's only 2 things a child will end up doing. Either they'll speak to you whenever, or they'll stop speaking to you. They're not going to go in between and say, I should schedule my comments with my parents. They don't have that emotional intelligence. You can't expect unrealistic adult-like things from children. That's an adult expectation from a child. So this ayah, when Yusuf alayhi salam spoke to his dad as a child, you know what that means? He spoke on his schedule. Like, he didn't pick a good time to talk to his dad. He's just a kid. So he spoke whenever. And the father, did he just say, this is not a good time right now, come back later? I'm in the middle of something, I'm reading Torah right now. They didn't read Quran back then. Hadn't been revealed yet. I'm reading Torah right now. I'll talk to you later. Let me finish Salat. Let me finish my Sunnah, then I'll talk to you. Oh, hold on, I'm cooking right now, I'm working right now. No, actually he sat there and listened. He sat there and listened. What does this tell us? It tells us that in a society, especially in a society, where there are all these different elements and forces that are taking people away from Islam. One of the things that we have to go out of our way to do is to be good listeners to our children whenever they need us. Which means as parents, you know, when I just think about إِذْ قَالَ يُوسُفُ لِأَبِيهِ for myself as a parent, you know what I decide? I decide that when I go home, my cell phone is not going to be as available as it typically is. My calls will end in the car on the driveway. And the text messaging and the responses will all die down once I enter the house. Because my kids are going to be tugging at me and asking me and telling me things that matter or don't matter, that doesn't even matter. But the fact that they feel like whenever they tell me something, I'm there to listen, is important to them. I have 6 kids. One of them is going to come with me with an art project. The other one made a box. The other one just bent a straw and thought that was the most amazing thing they've ever done, or they're going to come with random things. I'm not going to say, bring me something more impressive than that next time, or don't waste my time. No, I need to make them feel like I'm there to listen to them. That is the first step in communication. And this is something Yaqub alayhi salam is very successful at doing. And by the way, it's important to mention also that Allah highlights the role of the father in Surah Yusuf. He highlights the role of the communication between father and children, especially father and young children, right? Because fathers tend to be distant. Typically, fathers tend to be distant. Fathers tend to be emotionally unattached, uninterested. Fathers tend to be disciplinaries, not friends. Fathers tend to just say, did you do your homework? Did you finish your test? Did you do, that's it. And they want general answers. How was school? Good. That's it. I don't want more. I don't want an essay answer from you. The mother wants the essay answer. No, tell me more about what happened today. And they'll go into a whole story. But if the child goes into a whole story telling the dad's going to be like, Kafi, it was good. Okay, I got you. You see what I'm saying? But this father sat there and listened. And actually listened to something that apparently at first observation sounds ridiculous. I saw 11 stars. I saw the sun and the moon. And he stopped. The child stopped. And even when the child stopped, it's not like the father left. Like the kids, how sometimes the kids talk and they can't finish their sentence? That actually happened in the ayah. إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ. He stopped. And رَأَيْتُهُمْ يعني كَرَّرَ الْفِعْلِ. The verb is repeated. Allah repeated the verb because Yusuf alayhi salam repeated the verb. When you repeat the verb, it's like you started your sentence over again. It indicates hesitation on behalf of a child. Sometimes kids take a long time to say something. You're going to be like, Abba, 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 Abba. And you say, okay, what? And you're like, okay, gather your thoughts, I'll get back to you. No, actually stay there and say, you don't remember what you were going to say? Maybe he doesn't remember. Maybe he'll take a little bit of time to say it. Maybe they're embarrassed to say it. Maybe they're articulating how best to say it. A lot of times because you have scarred children, unfortunately, they actually think a lot about what they're going to say because they think, am I going to get in trouble for saying this? Is mom going to hit me if I say the sentence this way or that way? They start processing that. And it takes them time. And you're like, Kaho bhi kya hai? Say it already. Just say it. And the kid's like, actually, if I say it the way I said it last time, I don't know if that's going to go that well for me. So let me process this information, In other words, the child's not comfortable just blurting out whatever comes in their head. That's a problem. Yusuf alayhi salam can even talk about a dream. A dream. A dream is not something typically important. It's not something that you say, your child wakes up. Think of all of our children. Our kids wake up and say, Abba, I saw a dream. Sonic was fighting with Mario, and Luigi was watching on the side, and then Pikachu came, and you're sitting there like, okay, then what happened? And you have to finish listening, even if it sounds silly. Now, Yusuf alayhi salam, Yaqub alayhi salam does not know that Yusuf alayhi salam is a prophet. Not yet. Not when this conversation began. He doesn't know that. After listening to his dream, wahi comes to Yaqub alayhi salam, where he analyzes what this child is saying, how intelligently he's saying it, and then he makes a comment. وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. That's how Allah has chosen you. So he sees something special in this dream. But that's after he told him the dream, not before. And actually he didn't even finish the dream. He stopped at, I saw 11 stars, the sun and the moon, which is what you consider in Arabic, a complete sentence. It's a complete sentence. I saw the stars. I saw the moon. That's cool. Now I'm going to go back to my work, the father would say. No, actually, tell me a little more. Even though the sentence is complete, I think you wanted to say more. What? So you saw 11 stars, sun and moon. Did anything happen? What else happened? It's like the father encouraged him to speak out more. This is the key that I want to highlight when I talk about communication. For myself and for all of you. Fathers in particular, mothers goes without saying. Mothers it goes without saying, but fathers in particular, because it doesn't come naturally to us, we have to communicate with our children a lot. And that begins with us being good listeners. We learned that from the sunnah of Yaqub alayhi salam. Listening to our children. Fathers in particular, and unlike women, men in particular have attention span disorder. We can only pay attention to one thing at one time. One thing at one time. If I'm reading an email, I can't listen to somebody talk. I have to put it away. Okay, now say it again. Okay, I got you. I cannot multitask. Women can multitask any day of the week. They could be cooking with one hand, on the phone with the other, putting a child to sleep with the foot or something. They could do all of that and still pay. And then two kids are talking in the back while she's on the phone and this and that and the other. And like, hey, I know what you said. Say sorry. Like, they can do that. Men can't do that. But you know what? You don't have to become multitaskers. What you have to learn to do, and what I have to learn to do, is listen to one child at a time. Because all your kids come and talk to you at once. They all come and just, there's like, I don't know what to do with you people. I'm just gonna hug you and let you go. Now go and live your life. Actually take one child. Okay, wait, I want to talk to everybody. But right now it's Waleed's turn. Okay, Waleed, what you gotta say? And the other ones are getting impatient. My turn. They just wait, let him finish. And the child feels like they got their attention. They got their time. And you actually listen. You don't just listen for the sake of listening. You listen and respond and, acknowledge. And these are important validations for kids, right? And then move on to the next child and the next child. That little bit of conversation, you will not believe how attached your child will become to you because you engaged them in conversation, because you showed interest in even the most minuscule to you, the most pathetic things. They're pathetic to you, but it's the world for that kid. When a child just makes an art project, it's the most important thing to them. That's like their whole world. You can't just diminish that. This child saw a dream, Yusuf alayhi salam. He's a kid, he saw a dream. It's the most important thing to him right now. It may not be the most important thing to you, to the father. He's got other things to do. But at home, you just gotta be home. The TV's gotta turn off. The cell phone has to turn off, the social media has to turn off, and just give exclusive time to your children. I tell you what I personally do. Your life may be very different from mine, I acknowledge that. Some people get home late from work. Some people work from home. People have different situations, right? What I tend to do generally, through most of the year, is once I get home about the afternoon, from the afternoon to about Isha time, I'm unavailable to the outside world. I'm not accessible. And I'm very minimally accessible. Maybe once in a while a really important phone call or something, otherwise I'm not there. When the kids go to sleep, then I get myself an hour or two to get things done that I needed to get done. And it's actually a really great time to get things done, like a little bit later, typically my kids, especially in the summer, because Maghrib is so late, so after Maghrib they start going to sleep, or the troops start going down into their camps. So that at that point I could get some work done, maybe pray Isha at the masjid and make some phone calls on the way and just, that sort of thing. But not during the day once you come home. Leave work at work. Leave it at work. And leave other things, friends, socialization, leave it for a time when the kids are already asleep. When they're awake, because you're only going to have, you and I that are working parents, we're only going to have a couple of hours a day with our children. They're going to be at school most of the day. Then they're going to be tired and busy doing homework. You can't really do much with them at that time. They're tied up. So that 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock, whatever that time span is, where they're a little bit free, don't just let them play by themselves. Give them a half hour to play by themselves. It's okay. You want to play Mario Kart? Play Mario Kart. It's okay. You want to watch a little bit of cartoons? I don't mind. I personally don't, I know some people are much more conservative than I am. I'm okay with the kids watching pre-censored cartoons. I'm okay with that. Okay? That's not a fatwa. I'm sorry. If you completely think it's absolutely haram, I respect your position. It's not my position. I'm not a faqih, so I'm no one to disagree with you. But if you want to do some limited, well-screened, censored electronics for a little while, 20 minutes at the most, and not even every day. You don't want to get kids addicted to electronic devices. If they want to play like board games and things like that, that's a really cool idea. Right? So board games are a lot of fun. They build teams. Kids learn to play with each other, not against each other. And, the parents versus the children, that sort of thing. And they get to beat the parents and it's really cool, and it's fun. That sort of thing. A little bit of an activity with everybody. Something that everybody can do. Learn to enjoy that. At the beginning, it'll feel like a task. In the beginning, it's going to feel like, oh, God. I have to do this right now. I just came from work. Actually, you didn't come from work. You just came to work. That's vacation. Job is easy, man. Oh, you're sipping on tea, chatting away, talking about the new operating system or the upgrade or this or that. Your typical work bakwas. And then you're on your way home and you're just, listening to useless news about the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which most people don't know what it means anyway. Oh, it's above 15,000? Who gives a whoop? It's above 15,000. But anyway, you're listening to all that stuff. Your vacation's over. Don't come home and say, I had such a long day at work. I had to do this. I had to move my fingertips. No, the work begins when you get home. Giving children time. That's the first order of business. The second order of business is, in these, just to recap quickly, fathers should be accessible. That was the first main point. The second main point was that the timing is up to the child, not to the parent. And they're not going to be able to discriminate timing, right? That's the second. And letting children finish their thought. Letting children feel like you actually completed a conversation. And guess what? Children don't have attention span to have long conversations with you. So once they're done with 2 or 3 sentences and you're listening, guess what's going to happen? Our children are a lot like squirrels. You ever see a squirrel still on a tree? And then all of a sudden, ping! That's what our kids do. That 1 minute of patience you showed, they don't need 30 minutes from you. They don't have that kind of attention span. They're going to run off anyway. Just give them that. So they feel like whenever they wanted you, they got you. Especially young children, whenever they wanted you, they got you. That's going to be important. Because at the early ages, if you don't do that, kids start becoming distant. They start looking for fulfillment elsewhere. And that's a really bad time. When kids start getting used to the fact that they get ignored by their parents, that's the worst thing ever. For a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, it's terrible. You know what happens then? The only fulfillment they have is toys, or candy, or, give me something, give me something, give me something, give me something. Let me watch something, let me watch something else, let me watch something else. And they do that not because they're greedy or materialistic or anything else, but because you didn't fulfill them within the relationship. So they found other things to fulfill themselves. And obviously in the modern world, if the parent is not giving their child time, obviously they're sticking them in front of the screen somewhere. That's what they're doing. Or they're saying, hey, I bought you more toys so you can leave me alone. Right? So the kid's room is full of toys. You can't walk 2 steps with the lights off because you will stab your foot with an action figure or something else. Right? A lot of parents do that. But you know what? That's all your child wants now. And every time they talk to you, they don't talk to you about you, they talk to you about toys. They talk to you about what you're going to get them. That's all they talk about. That's not a good thing. It's okay for kids to talk to you about things they want, but if that's all they talk about, that's bad. That's not a good thing. It just means that the relationship is dying. It's on its way down. And you don't want that to be the case. Because that's when children become greedy and possessive and they just want things. Things become the most important thing to them. Nothing else matters. Then you go to other people's house and they're being mean to other kids and other manifestations come out of this. You'll see it. And yelling at your children and, being mad at them is not going to change that. We have to change ourselves. Our children, you don't expect them to change. We have to change ourselves. And then you'll notice changes and better improvement in your children, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second is not all of our children are the same. And we cannot be delusional about our children's problems. Actually, one of my favorite stories from a parental point of view is Surah Yusuf. Because Yaqub alayhi salam has very different kids, doesn't he? He has a fantastic child, Yusuf alayhi salam. Then he's got some really troubled kids. But it's funny that when he talks about his bad children, he never called them bad. It's really interesting, right? Because, we think of them, we say, who are the bad people in the story of Yusuf? So his brothers were pretty evil. He never called them evil. He never called them zalim. He never called them kadhib. He didn't say any of that. As bad as they were, he didn't say that. What does that mean? He doesn't give up on his kids. He does not give up on his kids. Nuh alayhi salam did not give up on his son until Allah told him to. Until Allah told him to. Otherwise he would not give up on his son. In other words, if we put a label on our children, this is the patient one and this is the angry one. This is the good one and this is the troubled one. This is the smart one and this is the mashallah one. Then if we do that, then we're actually against the spirit of what Allah's book teaches us about how we deal with children. You know, even when he was telling his young son, Yusuf alayhi salam, about, hey, don't tell this dream to who? Don't tell this dream to your brothers. لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا. They might, you know, play a prank against you. They might plot against you. They might plot against me. What are they, my enemy? Why would they plot against me? And the next part of the ayah is, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لِلْإِنسَانِ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. Shaitan is an enemy. He didn't say your brothers are an enemy. He said, Shaitan's an enemy. You know, some people, sometimes your brothers get a little upset. You know how they get upset? Sometimes they get angry at you because you spend a lot of time with me. You've heard this before, right, Yusuf? And Yusuf must be saying, yes, I've heard that before, Abba. And then he's like, you know, if you tell them this, they're going to get really upset with you. And I don't know, they've been looking pretty angry at you lately. And Yusuf, the little brother, might feel like, oh, should I just have bad feelings towards my older brothers? And the father says, no, beta, you're not supposed to be angry at your brothers. It's Shaitan you should be angry at. He's the one that's doing waswasa to your children, to your brothers. You know? And hopefully the waswasa will go away. Inna shaytana lil insani aduwwun mubin. But if, you know, judging from experience, you're better off not telling your brother. This is the same advice you should give to your kids. You know, for example, you got an award at school. Your kid got a star. You have a third grader and a fourth grader, and third grader got a star. Of course they're gonna come home and say, look what I got. Did you get it? Did you get it? No? I already knew that. But look what I got. You gotta train your kids to say, hey, I'm really proud of you getting it, but I don't like how you made your brother feel bad. I don't like that. Don't tell him. Tell me. I want to know. And next time you do that, I'll take the star away. I won't even count it. I'll actually give it back to the teacher. Because I don't want to be a family where we make each other feel bad. Don't yell. Don't yell at your kids. Don't yell at them. It's not going to work. I know sometimes you can't help it. I understand, sister. I understand. Sometimes the Incredible Hulk comes out and there's nothing you can do. It's just the gamma radiation, you know, it's like, what are you going to do? But for the most part, we have to control our temper. We have to, you know, and we have to, teach sometimes the children that are good, that are, there's the bully and the victim in many households, right? There's the kid they're always getting beat up, or they're always like, oh, he did something again. They said something. There's that one, and there's the criminal. I didn't do anything. What? I didn't say nothing. What are you talking about? I wasn't even looking at him. You always blame me. That sound familiar? So there's two of those, right? The kids take these roles. Your job and my job is not to accept those roles. Because you know what happens? If 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times the bully got punished, or got yelled at, or got disciplined, and the little one got away, or the victim got away, then the victim says, hey, that's a good system we got going here. I could just start going, anytime I want. And he will get owned. Because he's already got a rap sheet of 5 cases. I'm 5-0 at this point. So there's no way, statistically, my parents aren't going to think this is an exception. This is a new situation in which the little one's at fault. Actually, the little one will become at fault. They're really smart, man. They're really smart. I'm not saying install cameras in your kids' rooms to see who started it. We'll talk about who started it in a little bit, sibling rivalry, right? But what I am saying is we cannot say this is the zalim, this is the mazlum. This is the oppressor, this is the oppressed. This is the bad one, this is the good one. This is the one that always starts the fight, this is always the one that gets beat up. You can't do that. You will ruin 2 kids. You will ruin 2 kids. One child, because they will never trust you. They'll think you always blame me anyway, no matter what I do. I'm the evil one. They'll start accepting themselves in evil, and then they'll start doing really bad things and say, well, I'm bad anyway. Now, I did that because I'm bad. What can I do? And they'll start feeling like my parents don't love me like they love the other one. They'll start getting that feeling. You don't want that feeling. You do not. That resentment can turn into something terrible when they get older. Terrible, terrible when they get older. On the other hand, you've enabled the child. I can get away with murder. I can get away with anything I want. My parents, because I'm always the victim. And guess what that child does? They make crying, yelling, screaming, tantrums their way of getting things. That's all they do. It's all the time. They just yell and scream and cry, and you will give them what they want to get them to stop crying. And that actually confirms that next time they should do this again. Because it worked last time. I got paid. Look at what I got. Because I cried and yelled and screamed. You know? And then sometimes parents get stuck in this and they're like, how do I get out of this? This is crazy. This is getting so bad. And the two start absolutely hating each other. One says, my parents don't love me anymore because of him. The other says, he always beats me up, or he beat me up, now it's time for me to take revenge. Or he doesn't like me. My older one doesn't like me. This is what we have to watch out for. This is one of the big problems in raising our children.